how to remove bad labels from your life. Have you heard them before? You're a loser. You're an underachiever. You're an at-risk. You are a troubled child. You are not going to make it. All of these are labels that society put on you. So we're discussing how do we remove bad labels from our lives so we can experience the abundance that we were created to experience. Let's talk about it.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the moment you've been waiting for. It's a conversation that must be had today and not tomorrow. Welcome to another episode of I'm Listening, I'm Ready with your host, Andrew E. Guy. Let's talk about it.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. If you're listening to me for the first time, we're talking about removing bad labels from good products. That's right. And in this case, we're talking about you, the product. You are the product. And we're talking about removing bad labels. How can we remove bad labels from ourselves so we can experience the abundance that we were created to experience? A lot of times we live our lives based on what people say about us instead of what we are saying to ourselves. Hence the title of the book, Work Your Words and Finding Your Pathway to Personal Success, is one of the books that you just got to read this year. You know, it talks about this label and how we live labels because people say we are. And how many times have you ever gone into a grocery store and you wanted to buy something and you're looking, and bam, there it was. And someone will tell you what the can looks like or what the container looks like, but it's not really the container that makes you identify the product you're looking for. What is it? It's the label, right? So the part that we're going to talk about today is how did we get these labels in the first place? Yes, they are a form of adhesive that stick themselves to us, and over time we become stuck becoming what the label says we are. But I want to encourage you that there's something deeper on the inside. It is the content that is in the container that determine the context. I'll say it again. It is the content that's in the container that determine the context of the experience that we have when we participate with the product or the outcome. What does all of that mean? I know you're saying, Andrew, this is too early for that, man. I know what you're saying, but what you're saying is too early. Break that down for me, man, so I can get it. All right, okay, I'll do it. Martin Luther King once said, Martin Luther King Jr., famous civil rights leader, once said that may we be judged for the content of our character instead of the color of our skin. Precisely. The color of our skin may simply be a label, but from the creator perspective, it was just an amazing paint job that we were blessed with. And the reason why I brought it up is because we're now in an era where we're dealing with so much. I mean, 2020 has brought on a lot of challenges, and a lot of eyes were open because of systemic racism, bullying in the workplace. And we're now discovering that there's so many covert operations that have been happening in the workplace, and people were taken for granted, abused verbally, and some even physically. So a lot of things are coming to the surface now as a result. I wouldn't say as a result of COVID. COVID is happened to just be one of them. And I read this article the other day that a doctor was saying that COVID could be one of the biggest, not disruption, one of the biggest scams in all of medical history because of the monies that are involved and the payoffs that are going to be received and they're going to be handed out, and the dividends that are coming from this particular release of this virus, this pandemic. So there are a lot of people who are benefiting from COVID, and it was intentional. Now, that's what the article is saying. So I won't be going into much detail. Just you can go look it up. There's an article that says COVID must be the biggest scam. So go check it out. Written by European doctor. Go check it out and inform yourself. All right, let's continue. So we're talking about labels. And the reason why labels are important because they help you to identify a product. And a product, basically, many people look at the container. Let's say, for example, I'm looking for a container of Dawn liquid soap, right? And I go into the store and I'm looking at this container, but it doesn't have a label on it. It's just white. And the container has a blue top. Can you picture it? It doesn't have a label. Now, in the past, we have known Dawn to be placed in these particular container, but we don't have a label on it, so we don't have any idea as to what the content in that bottle. I'm going to go off on a tangent. I'm going to say this as a science teacher. I've always said to my students, I said, do not sniff or smell anything or drink anything in a bottle that doesn't, or a container that doesn't have a label. That's dangerous, I said, because water and acetic acid, they are both clear, and other chemicals that are out there, they are clear, and they may look like water in a container, and if you go drink it, you may have drank your last drink and you have now drunk yourself to death. Basically, it can kill you. You don't know what's in the container. It doesn't have a label that identify what's inside of it, so stay away from it. Now, what does that mean? In the same year, I gave a presentation to them, and they were graduating. It was a graduating speech. And when I did this graduating speech, what happened was simply this. When I did it, a lot of these students had a lot of hurts. They had a lot of pain going on inside of them. But when I look at it, it's simply this. They were hurting from trauma, past trauma. A lot of them were simply hurt because of things that happened in their lives. And when we look at this, these were labels or things that people have said to them, labels that people put on them, labels that were placed on them because of where they live, the temporary location where they live, or where they are in life at this particular time. They're on a journey, and they're where they are on their journey in life. People just label you and say, this is who you are, this is what you're going to be. And people start to believe these labels. People call them losers. People call them underachievers. People that call them at risk. And they put them in these subcategories that basically relinquish them from experiencing or even having access to certain opportunities in life. So I gave this talk and I said, rip the labels off. Rip the labels off basically is a process whereby you take your right arm, if you're right-handed, and you wrap it around your left shoulder as if you're giving yourself a one-handed hug. And if you're left-handed, you vice versa. You will take your left arm and you wrap it around your right arm as if you're giving yourself a left-handed hug. And what you do, you'll close your eyes and imagine all the negative things that has come back to you that people have done to you. And the goal of this activity is for you to release them from you by ripping off the label, which you will no longer answer to or respond to. Doesn't matter if they put that name on $1,000 bill, you will no longer respond to that actual name or label. So what I did, I asked them to pause and wrap their arms around themselves and give themselves a hug. The purpose of that is for them to give themselves that deserving hug that they need, for them to stop for a minute. Now, these were high school students. There were thousands of them in this auditorium, and I was giving this talk. And so, and if you're interested in bringing me to come to your school and do this talk, it's called Rip the Labels Off. It's how to help students in particular to overcome or to deal with mental wellness, not illness, mental wellness, and how to transition from past trauma to make themselves triumphant. That's what the purpose of the workshop and their breakout. So if you're a principal, listen to this. If you're a teacher, listen to this. If you're a guidance counselor, listen to this. I would really want to encourage you to go by my youth development leadership website. That is called www.youth.andrewguyspeaks.com. So I'll say it again. It's www.youth.andrewguyspeaks.com. And that's my youth leadership and development website. It's called youth.andrewguyspeaks.com. And so I was giving this presentation, and I have them wrap their arms around themselves, love on themselves, and then close their eyes and imagine all the hateful things and negative things that people said about them. And tears came down their face. And then I said, I want you to embrace the hurt. I want you to embrace the pain. And then I want you to count to 3, and on the count of 3, I want you to rip the labels off, and I want you to stand up. I want you to pump both of your arms up in the air, and I want you to scream as loud as you can. This is a transformational activity that the students do to make sure to let them know, yes, they've gone through the process of hugging themselves and loving themselves again, because sometimes the labels that people put on you cause you to stop loving or liking yourself. And guess what? You started liking other people, following other people on social media, developing other identity with other people and becoming other things, getting involved into other promiscuous activities because you have lost yourself. And I said, it's about you finding who you are again. Love on yourself. Appreciate yourself. There's only one of you. There's no one coming back after this. You better love you. And I said, when you start doing this, your life as you know it will change. And I'm telling you, this transformational workshop, it went over well. Kids were crying. They were hugging themselves for the first time, appreciating themselves for the first time. And after they ripped the label off, it was a triumphant symbol that lets them know that they're a winner. They pumped their fist in the air and they stood up and screamed. And it was a celebration that I will no longer go back to live in the labels that people put on me. You may not be a college student right now or a high school student, but if you're listening to this, you're living a label that people place on you. Yeah, you may have had some downtimes. Yes, you may have had financial setbacks. Your marriage probably didn't make it, or you're going through a tough time right now. But I want to let you know, the labels that people put on you are temporary, and you need to rip them off. I want to give you this understanding that when you came into the world, your creator did not put a label on you. As a matter of fact, you didn't even have a name. When you came out, then your mom and dad decided to put a name on you, and that's the first label that you get. But a lot of times parents, they put some effort and time into discovering what names really mean, because names are powerful. And so it is the first label that you get. And so what I want you to do is to go back and start thinking. When people say that you're never going to make it, when people say that you're a loser, I've been through that. People say I'm never going to make it. I couldn't even read until I was age 14 because I was just, I don't know if I was dyslexic or just dumb, because that's what they call me. And I used to blame that I didn't get to go to school and all of these different things. You know, I grew up it's kind of tough right now, but I'm going to get through this. I grew up in foster homes in Jamaica, and just had a tough time because, you know, my mom and dad wanted to do something amazing. They wanted to go to a foreign country so they can create better opportunities for themselves so they can help us and their children. I'm one of them. I'm one of 6, and I'm telling you, the story is simply amazing. I love to talk to you about it another time, but the purpose of this podcast is not about me. It's to help you to rip those labels off. Rip the labels off that you're living that is not you. Remember, the content is inside the container. Your body is only a container. The content is your mindset and how you see yourself in this world. It's how you see yourself as an individual in a crowd. That's the mindset. That is really the content. The label is maybe a skin tone, is maybe your height, it may be your gender, your male or female, boy or girl. These are just external features. But the content of who you are makes up your character. And that's what's the most important thing about life. Rip the labels off. Rip the loser labels off. Rip the defeating labels off. Rip the stereotypes off. You are a winner. Pump your fist in the air and scream, I am a winner. And say it over and over and over again until it resonates with your inner being. I need you to get over there and follow me. I'm looking for 1,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel, Andrew Guy Speaks. Get over there. Bring me 100 and make sure you put your name or comment on this video. and so I can send you out a copy of my book, Work Your Words. I am so excited about today. Thank you for joining me on this episode of I'm Listening, I'm Ready. Take care of yourself and have yourself a wonderful day. Until next time, peace.
Until next time, keep listening, live ready, talk soon.